Thank you very much, Kartika. So I'll come back with the presentation. And thank you, Arvin, for the explanation.
Welcome.
I think this is a great moment to get prepared for the big opening of Mauritius. And one of the main topics that we want to speak with you today is about communication. So here I'm going to speak a little bit about why is it important to communicate, going and thinking about all what we have done through the whole workshop series, from identifying the impacts, from using the different tools that we have provided for impact monitoring, for example, on how organizations can start developing actions to implement in terms of sustainability, in terms of waste management, for example, energy, biodiversity, or community development. And later on, the idea now is how to transfer all this information into engaging communication. So I'm going to briefly present you here some tips and some examples of how different hotels and tourism operators are communicating sustainability. And later on, I'm going to briefly present to you a communication tool that fits and blends well with all the tools that we have provided in the previous workshops. So first of all, if we think about communication as a meal, we have to think which are the ingredients that we need to have present to make that meal. So for this, for any great communications, there are 5 main ingredients to do this. So the first ingredient for this meal that we want is to have clarity. We need to know how to make your point clearly in any communication. Second of all, we need brevity on how to get to the point actually very quickly. We need to be concise on what we are saying. The third of all, we have context. For example, we have to make your message relevant, how to help people see how your point or message makes sense for them, for example. The fourth point, and I highlighted this in green, is impact, on how to make your message stand out, to be memorable for them, and how to reach your clients to receive this memorable message. And the 5th ingredient that I have here is value. This is already, it's saying it, on how to make your message stand out, to be valuable for the people that are receiving the message, to all these customers that are consuming this message. So the big question is how much ingredients do we need to prepare, or how much quantity of each one of these ingredients do we need to communicate? So the answer is that it will depend. It will depend on who you will be cooking for, your audience, who are you trying to reach, and the message that you want to give. Also important that we all need all these 5 different ingredients for any communication, but it will depend on you, on how your organization wants to transfer this information to your customers. So I have here an example of communicating sustainability. And here I'm using the example of TUI Travel Agency. Through their websites and newsletters, I think they have created a very easy to understand sustainability communication. Here they have all these different, let's say, layers through spheres, starting from the core, which is the step lightly. And this is, of course, when we have a step, we have a foot there, and it's about reducing the environmental impact of holidays. Later on, they have the another layer that is making a difference too. And this is about creating positive change for people and communities. Then they have the lead the way. They have, let's say, kind of an investment metric here on how much they have been investing in enhancing the positive impacts in tourism. And last one, they have a more broad level, which is building the best place to work, where people are passionate about what they do. Of course, this is a very big company, but I just wanted to briefly show you examples of how they really make or place the information very visually and very interesting, because they are integrating different data for each one of the clusters. Not only that, but they also have stories for each one of these clusters. So this is what I wanted to communicate to you now, is that there are storylines for each of the positive impact that you select to implement within your organization. Being a tourism operator, being a hotel, any organization can define the impact areas which they want to work with, and then create a story that this will be your entry point with future customers. I also wanted to give the example of the tour operator G Adventures. G Adventures, they started small, but they are, or let's say they engaged sustainability as their core value in their organization. And they have been an excellent example of how they communicate sustainability, and thus attracting a new clientele of tourists that are changing their consumption patterns towards, let's say, tourism that is more experiential, tourism that is trying to create positive impacts with local communities or with helping to restore the environment, for example. So here they have, in their website, they have the G for Good area where they have actions towards animal welfare, for example, child welfare, respecting local cultures, plastics partnership projects, and travelers conduct policy. So they have created this kind of a mashup of sustainability actions, and they created a whole story out of it. And this is how they put the G for Good, let's say, slogan. Another example that I got, I am from Costa Rica, so I wanted to bring also some interesting examples of hotels in Costa Rica. There is a very nice example of Cayuga Collection. This is a set of small, let's say, scale luxury hotels in Costa Rica and also Central America, where they have been engaging customers through storytelling and trying to invite customers to experience, to connect, and to relax and transform. So my message here is that they have created a story for each one of these engaging experiences of connection, of relaxation and transformation, where you can see at their website, which is quite engaging, and it's very attractive for customers that want to experience, let's say, a very natural environment. Also, another hotel in Costa Rica is the Lapa Rios Hotel. This Lapa Rios is very proud of being one of the pioneers in ecotourism in the world. They are the members of the National Geographic Unique Lodges of the world, and they have been great on communicating their awards and success stories. So my message here is that after you communicate and after you are having attraction of clients, it's okay to show your success and to really stand out all your achievements in sustainability. For example, here we have this CST standard of sustainable tourism that was one of the first sustainability standards in the world. And yeah, this hotel was one of the pioneers doing this and promoting the labeling schemes and promoting sustainability worldwide. So again, this is about storytelling. And we have another interesting example here in Mauritius, the Rainbow Tour Operator. I like this a lot because this example shows how they are playing with the elements, and they're using, for example, for the land element, the earth, they're using the island itself. They're using the ocean, the water element. Let's say fire is culture. And we got here synergy also as an interesting element where they're trying to create a storyline for the offering of tours. And I think this is a great example that could be an inspiration for other hotels or even tour operators in the island. So this helps tourists to inspire to become part of the sustainability journey. And I think this is very excellent example of how to communicate sustainability. So the question now, I'm going back a little bit with the tools that we have developed. And the question is, what happens after you're tracking your sustainability products, for example? And during the last workshop, we spoke about the different actions that could be monitored, that could be tracked, that different indicators that could be used to measure this progress and achieving your targets as an organization. So the information at this point looks very ugly, to be honest. It's all data in an Excel sheet. There are people responsible on collecting this data progressively. But what we have done here is to also provide you a tool that will help you to organize this data. And this is the Maufi communication tool that we have here to the upper right. So we have here, I'm just going to briefly mention this here because I have another slide with a bigger picture of this, but this tool is going to help you to organize this information so that you can either show this in websites or any other communication channel, or use this as a main reference to cluster your information in a more visualized way, so that you can discuss this in, for example, in meetings with your partners or with your employees on defining strategies on how to better use other communication channels to, let's say, showcase sustainability. And of course, we got also the improvement guidelines that are the best practices and a brochure-like document that will help you to improve or ideate new ways on creating action for your organization. So this, I think these three tools complement very well with one another. And this will support you also to create your storylines for the actions that you want to implement. So in this slide, I wanted to just make a very brief process for your communications. So as we are saying, we have to aim our impact actions to monitor the progress of these impacts recurrently. We have to update the data that we are using to monitor these actions. For example, it could be energy consumption, if you are implementing, I don't know, different technologies to reduce your carbon footprint, or if you're implementing activities to restore coral reefs, for example. You can update this data and then rethink how you're going to transfer this message to the wider audience, and also very important to target an audience. After this, you can define your communication channels, either if it's social media, if it's a newsletter, if it's a physical, let's say, document, or different examples of communications that could be launched for this targeted audience. And of course, this is a continuous improvement process. So we go back to continue monitoring progress and redefining your message as you are implementing your sustainability actions. So this is the communication tool in a bigger picture. This communication tool is including the main clusters or the main categories of sustainability, which you all know by now, which is the economy, the environment, and society. And for this, for example, we have the impact areas of the Maufi 11 criteria that we have spoken about in the previous workshops. We have authentic experience, less resource use, biodiversity, equal opportunity, contribution to local communities. And for each one of these, we can select targets. For example, if you define to work in one of these clusters, you define a strategy, you can make these targets and monitor your results. So for example, here we have for biodiversity, an impact would be, or a target, that 60% of your products have been implemented biodiversity management requirements by 2021 or 2022, thinking about next year. So your results, let's say that 80% of your suppliers with high biodiversity sensitivity have adopted a biodiversity code of conduct, or 10 employees have volunteered in environmental protection activities. So these are results that are very easy to visualize and communicate, for example. And of course, at the end, we have the outcomes and our approach on how this is being implemented. So one of the objectives, just to finalize, of the Malfi communication tool is it will support the SMEs to communicate their sustainability performance and results to their customers and clients in a strategic way. It will support SMEs to market their sustainability businesses and reach out to a wider audience. It will support tourism SMEs to demonstrate commitment to tackle local sustainability challenges. And of course, we will have the different communication channels that will be defined by each organization, depending on how you think it is the best way to reach this audience or reach these customers that, of course, as we know, most of the tourists that come to Mauritius come from France and European countries, England, and many others. So how to best adapt your storyline, your stories, your impact areas, how is this aligning and selecting then the communication channels, of course, with the support of the tools that I have briefly mentioned. So I think that now, Kartika, we move to the interactive session and discussion.
Yes, thank you, Luis, for the great presentations. I think it's really useful for our audience today. And Ismat, do you have already the breakout sessions ready?
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a.
Will we show the video before? Sorry, Luis.
Yes. So, sorry, Kartika. So maybe I can just mention briefly that we're gonna show you a video of the G Adventures, and later on we're gonna go to a breakout session with the tourism operators and the hotels to discuss some questions that we want to figure out with you. So if I may, I'm gonna move forward with the video. I hope that you all can hear. If not, please shout.
We're G Adventures, and if you're wondering why you should travel with us, well, you've come to the right video. The biggest and best reason? Because we believe travel can be a force for good. Since our very first tour 30 years ago, we've been committed to giving travelers an incredible experience while leaving a positive impact on the places we visit. Basically, what we're saying is, you can change the world just by having the time of your life. How do we do it? We're glad you asked. We use local service providers to help support the local communities and the people that make the places we travel so special. We introduced the industry-first Ripple Score to show exactly how our tours change lives. On a scale of 1 to 100, this score shows the percentage of money we spend on behalf of the traveler on in-country expenses that goes to locally owned businesses. The higher the score, the more money that is staying in the local community. You can find a tour's Ripple Score on our website and in our brochures. On every tour, this helps connect travelers with local communities on a deeper level. It's kind of like becoming BFFs, but with the world. Our tours have small groups. With an average of 12 adventurers, you'll enjoy the camaraderie and comfort of a group without feeling like you're about to be swallowed up by a crowd. We even keep our boats small to keep connections flowing. You know what they say, the best things come in small sizes. That's what they say, right? Of course, we welcome solo travelers too. And 2/3 of our travelers traveling on their own are female. We don't charge any single supplements, and we offer the option of my own room. At G Adventures, we don't have tour guides. We have chief experience officers. Because you having an incredible experience is their top priority. Since our CEOs are locally based, they are local experts. They know what to see, what to avoid, and give great tips on what to experience. Basically, they'd win a trivia category about your destinations. Plus, all CEOs are supported by our local operations teams 24/7, just in case. Think organized tours mean stuffy, uptight, or way too structured? Think again. Adventure is all about discovering the unknown. Our tours give you the freedom to follow your curiosity with a balance of well-planned itineraries, optional activities, free time, and your moments, which are immersive on-tour experiences that bring travelers closer to our world. For the flexibility to choose a trip that feels truly your own, because it's your adventure. We're just along for the ride. With us, you see travel working as a force for good firsthand. G for Good stands for all the social, environmental, and ethical good we create as a business. All of our tours are built on meaningful relationships with local communities, directly benefiting the people and places we visit. But it doesn't stop there. The communities we impact extend far beyond these destinations. It starts with our people and our vision of travel as a force for good, and ripples out to our local communities, our trusted suppliers, brand and travel agent partners, our industry peers, and of course, our travelers, like you. It's a ripple effect. We call this movement to create change, community tourism. And we do it through our commitment to improving the sustainability of our own operations and our focus on leaving only positive impact on the places we visit. From animal welfare to child welfare to reducing our plastic usage, our global connection officers, the people who answer the phone when you call us, and travel agent partners can give you all the details on our extensive policies. Our travelers' health and safety has always been our highest priority. So wherever you go with us, the first thing you can pack is confidence, then peace of mind, and then your passport. Our comprehensive policies include Book with Confidence policy. Cancel and rebook your tour with no change fees closer to the time of departure. Travel with Confidence policy, featuring new health and safety procedures on all of our tours. We have also contributed to and have implemented the Adventure Travel Trade Association's Adventure Travel COVID-19 Health and Safety Guidelines. Lifetime deposits. If you cancel or delay your trip for any reason, your deposit remains valid until you're ready to go. Yep, for life. Wherever you go, we have measures in place to help keep you safe, from the moment you book to the moment you reluctantly head home. There you have it. You've officially heard some of the best reasons we think you'll love traveling with us. We can't wait for you to help us change the world. Hey there, we're G Adventures, and if you're
Okay, so that was a brief example, I think a great example of how a tour operator integrates sustainability actions into communication.